So now that we've pretty much put together a lot of our content or newscasts, there's just a couple of things that I want to go over to kind of help wrap up a little bit of content that we're going to be putting into the production. So one of the things that I want you to also focus on is the names of your stories. These are also called story slugs. And I want them to be 2 words or less. So 1 or 2 words describing what it is. So if you have a story about an abortion doctor who may be suffering death penalties if they continue to work, I want your slug to be relatively short, either abortion, a death penalty, or doctor deaths. If you've got a story that says a storm gives DC lawmakers a snowquester day off, shorten it to lawmaker snow, snowquester, DC snow, DC storm, something along those lines. Ringo Starr has a new musical exhibit. So you could just say Ringo Starr or new exhibit or Ringo exhibit or something along those lines. And the reason why is when you're producing a rundown, you want to make sure everybody can quickly understand what's going on without having to overthink it or analyze something for too much. So if you have a rundown that has a story name of pre-show, open, abortion doctor death penalty, or storm gives DC lawmaker snow day quester day off, that's going to be too much information for people to just comprehend at a glance. So if you suddenly have to kill a story, you don't want to say, hey, I'm killing storm gives DC lawmaker snow quester day off, because that's taking too much time to explain it. So shorten it. You could say death penalty, or you could say DC snow. And then if you realize you're running behind, you can say, you know what, I'm going to kill the DC snow story. And that makes it a lot easier for everybody to follow along with what's going on, especially if you have short names. So looking at some of the other ones, we've got a story named Fatima, which was Fatima Fernandez, who was a tennis player. We've got a story about about softball. We've also got a story about Easter eggs. We've got the SGA results. We've got a story that the athletics director, John Hartwell, has quit to go for another job. So we just said Hartwell, because we know at a glance, when we say Hartwell, we know we're talking about John Hartwell and that story. So by making your slugs 2 words or less, it's going to really help kind of make your rundown a little cleaner and a little bit quicker and easier to read. So another thing to remember was sig outs and out cues. Whenever you're ending a story, if it's a SOT, it's going to always end in an out cue. If it's a package, it's going to end in either a sig out or an out cue. And again, the sig out is where a reporter says their name. So they can say for CNN, Jenny Most, New York, or for Trojan Vision News, I'm Ernie Powell. The out cue is a phrase. It's the last thing said in the story. So they could say, you know, I think we could have won. Or if the last thing you hear is, you know, in the end, I'm glad it worked out. That's how you're going to put the information in your director's notes of it's going to be an OC colon and what it is, or if it'll say sig out name. And then again, if it's a SOT or a VOSOT, it's going to have an out cue. If it's a package, it could have either an out cue or a sig out. So real quick, I'm going to just glance over a couple things that are going to go from your anchor introduction into your script. So we've got facts like a used book sale coming up. Troy University is trying to establish a culture of reading. Used books from the sale are going to help a local elementary school. This is the first used book sale since last fall. It was also part of Troy's Big Read program. Daniel Percival did a package. So when we're looking at the scripts, and this is what I'm going to be looking at when you submit your producing exercise, that you're going to have the story name both at the top of the script and at the anchor introduction. You're going to have, in this case, I have both anchors on camera 2. So this 2S means it's a 2-shot on camera 2. So I've got Jordan on 2, I've got Sarah on 2. And then for the tag, I've got Sarah reading the tag on camera 3, a different camera. But you can see that the anchors' names are in there and they know which camera they're closing on. I've got the take package and I've kind of hit enter and moved it down so it's just sort of lined up for the director to see. I've also got the time, 1:29. I know that this is going to be a sig out from Sherry Cossum. And then the total story time is going to be that 1:29. Plus the 20 seconds it's going to take to read the introduction and the tag. So my total story time is going to be 1:49. So be sure you have all of these when you're working on your scripts, and go back and double check before you give me your final submission. Now, when you have all the information in there, this is what the anchors are going to see in teleprompter or a tablet that they have as a backup. They're going to see use book sale. Jordan knows that she's going to be looking at camera 1, 2, or 3. And in this case, she's looking at camera 3. And then Troy University is going to be the first line of her introduction that she's going to read. So this way, the anchor is always in the know of what's going on, and they're not just kind of blindly trusting, okay, wait, was I going to be on camera 1? Was I going to be on camera 2? Oh, nope, this says 3. Now, for social media, one of the things that you're going to do is you have a digital producing department, and I want you to you're going to have them send out a tweet on your behalf about your story. So sometimes the anchors will say, hey, if there's more information, check out more on this on our website, JRN3365.com. What I want you to do is, some of your stories are going to need to have a social media aspect or a tweet. So you're going to tell the tweet that you want the digital producers to put out. So if it was some Troy students donated books for a worthy cause, find out more tonight at 5. As opposed to the website. So you're going to tell the producers to kind of publicize your story on social media. So one example is Jordan Ellison talks to Troy University students about their opinions on same-sex marriage in Alabama tonight at 5 o'clock on Trojan Vision News. So you're giving that to go out on Twitter, so that way people will know to watch the show if this is something that they may find interesting. Likewise, it could also go up on Facebook or other types of video platforms. So in this case, Jordan actually recorded a brief tease about her story. We uploaded it to Facebook about maybe 3 o'clock for the 5 o'clock news. And so that way she would say, tonight on Trojan Vision News, I'm covering a story on same-sex marriage in Alabama. Tune in at 5 to find out more about it. And so by watching it on social media, people know that they're going to tune into our news on television or on our stream to watch it. So as a producer, I want you to add a tweet that the digital producers are going to put out on the webpage and on social media for people to come and watch your story. So there's just a couple other things I wanted to add to kind of give you a little bit insight of what I'm looking for when you guys submit your story.